Okay, so let's start with the derivation of design equations in order to calculate the required shaft diameter for a given load. This is the second lecture uh, after the theory that we covered in the last video. So as we already discussed that shafts are generally subjected to two kinds of loadings. One is the bending and the other bending load, bending moment. The other one is torsion because it is rotating. So as a result, we have fluctuating torques and fluctuating moments which are further multi-axial. So bending is generally in the transverse direction, and these are fluctuating because as we discussed before, there is the phenomena of time varying stresses and the phenomena of fatigue. So the uh, for the bending moment, we have the mean and alternating components of the bending moment while we are calculating the bending stresses, and while we are calculating the shear stresses, we have the torques, which has again both mean and alternating components Tm and Ta. So this is the notation that we are going to follow. Now talking of bending stresses, this is a general formula of bending stress, normal bending stress, sigma, right? And it says mc over I, where m is the bending moment, I is the moment of inertia, right? And c is actually, in case of circular cross section, c is actually the radius. This is the distance of the furthest point from the neutral axis. So in case of shafts, it comes out to be the radius. So this formula you are already familiar with, and the only difference right now is that we have two forms of this formula, one for alternating component and one for mean component. So when we are calculating the alternating component of the bending stress, we are going to use the alternating component of bending moment. So M is also MA. And when we want to calculate the mean component of bending stress, we are going to use the mean component of bending moment. So hence we will calculate two components for bending stresses in each case. Now if I can substitute the expression for this moment of inertia here, which is actually pi d4 over 64, and since this c is also d by 2, so after manipulation what I get is these expressions for mean and alternating components of bending stresses. So 32 ma over pi d cube, 32 over pi d cube. Another thing that is extra in these equations is these factors that you see which are being multiplied, kf and kfm. These are the fatigue stress concentration factors here, right? As the name suggests, excuse me, Let me turn on the pen. Now as the name, as you see an F in the subscript here, so these are fatigue, stress, concentration factors, these KF and KFM. So M here represents that this is the fatigue stress concentration factor for mean component, while for alternating component we do not have a subscript here, and F here represents fatigue. Now as we earlier discussed in the theory, that we have the phenomena of stress concentration due to change of cross section. If the shaft is not plane, if it is a strapped shaft, or it has a change of cross section, we have the phenomena of stress concentration. And then we also have a phenomena of fatigue due to time varying stresses. So in order to take these effects into account in our design process, we have introduced these simple factors KF and KFM. And since we are talking bending here, so the proper name for these factors is bending fatigue stress concentration factors. So you should note these things down on your notebook now. You can pause the video if you need to, so that this information is with you all the time. So this was about bending stresses. Now what are the other stresses that we have? The other stresses on the shafts that we have are shear stresses due to torsion. So now we are going to do the same kind of derivation for the alternating and mean components of shear stresses. So here you see the symbol for shear stress, tau, its alternating component, and then likewise we have tau mean component. And in the formula, this is the fundamental formula that you have studied in previous subject, mechanics of materials mainly, which is TR over J, where T is the torque, R is the radius of the shaft, of course. And what is J here? Just try to recall for a second. What is J? J is actually polar moment of inertia, which is used in this formula. So this is a basic formula. Then again we have these fatigue stress concentration factors being multiplied. So here you have KF, F for fatigue, and we have added an extra subscript here, S for shear, because here we are talking about shear stress. So this is the first factor is KFS. On the mean side, we have the factor KFS, and then we have added M for mean. Rest of the formula is similar, except that here we have again mean component of torque, right? And here we add alternating component of torque. So we will always have these two values. And again, simplifying these formulas by substituting the expression for polar moment of inertia, which would be pi d4 over 32, we get this answer for alternating and mean component of torsional shear stresses. Now in total we have four expressions. We had sigma A on previous slide, and we had sigma M on previous slide, and then we have tau A and tau M. These are the four expressions because we have two types of stresses on the shafts. Now we have to combine these types because when you have a an element which is subjected to multiple stresses, we have to find a way to combine these stresses. And according to your knowledge of mechanics of materials 2, one way of combining these is to calculate the von Mises stresses. And since we have two components of the underlying stresses, we are again going to have two components of von Mises stresses as well. So the expression for the von Mises stresses for alternating component, which is represented here by sigma A prime, it is square root of sigma A square plus 3 tau A square. So here, as you can see, that we have combined the normal stress and the shear stress into single expression, and there of course exists a derivation for that in mechanics of materials 2. Similarly, on the mean side, on the mean component of von Mises stress, we have the mean components of normal stress and the mean component of shear stress combined together. In addition, there is this another component here, which is sigma m axial. So this is the case if, for example, if we have a shaft like this, right, with this center line. So if we have, for example, an axial stress also acting on the shaft, then we have this component sigma m axial, otherwise this component is 0. So this expression becomes the same as this one. Well, similar, not the same, but similar. So generally we do not have these axial stresses. Generally in most of the problems that you will encounter, it will be very rare that we have this axial stress. So this component could be 0 in most cases. So now we have combined both the normal and shear stresses into one, and but this is not enough. We have to have this information of fatigue stresses or fatigue phenomena inside the equations as well. So for that we have this famous diagram on which we have the mean component of stress on the x-axis and the alternating component of stresses on the y-axis, right? This is general expression, and we have a line, a very famous line called the modified Goodman line, which connects one point on the y-axis to the corresponding point on the x-axis through a perfect straight line. So as you can see, this dotted line is perfectly straight line. So this is called a modified Goodman line. Now what do these 2 points actually represent? These SUT here, which is the ultimate tensile strength of the material, and SE or SF here, which is the endurance limit or fatigue strength of the material. Now imagine that this line, this horizontal line, if you are anywhere on this line, there is no alternating component of the stress, which means that on this line of sigma m on the x-axis, this is the case where with respect to time the stress has only a mean component sigma m, but it does not has an alternating component, which means that the stress is constant. This is the case that you have studied most of the time, which you have assumed most of the time while analyzing materials. So this stress is not varying with time, right? It is not varying with time, it is constant. And in this case, we know very well that the failure of the material or the breaking point of the material is at a strength called ultimate tensile strength, SUT. So this is represented here. Likewise, if you come to this y-axis, so on this y-axis, sigma m is equal to 0. On this axis, sigma m is equal to 0 because it is a 0 value here. Now if you remember, we saw two cases of alternating stresses. There was one where the mean of the stress was 0, right? So this is the 0 line, this is sigma, and this is our time here. So sigma m here is 0 because we have kind of equal portion above 0 as below 0. So this case is represented on this vertical line. And in this case, we have some alternating component of stress. This is the alternating component, sigma A. And on this line, the strength of the material is represented by, let me erase unnecessary things. So the strength of material is represented by this endurance limit, what we call endurance limit. For some materials, we have an endurance limit. For other materials, we have fatigue limit or fatigue strength. So these are actually represent the same concept depending upon the material. So this is the breaking point of the material when sigma m is equal to 0. And what modified Goodman line does is it connects these two points together, so that if you are somewhere in the middle, for example, right, somewhere on this line where you have mean component as well as the alternating component, you can calculate the strength of the material or the point at which it is expected to fail. So this is the line that we are going to use. It is, and this here, what you see is the equation of this line. Here is everything. So this is the equation of this modified Goodman, right? Modified Goodman line, where sigma alternating prime is normalized with respect to SF, or here we can also write SE. Similarly, on the mean, on the x-axis, the stress is normalized with respect to its maximum value, S ultimate, and generally it is equal to 1, right, for the equation of the line. But we have introduced a safety factor here, which is called NF. So we do 1 over NF. NF is the desired safety factor. So this equation is very important because in this equation we are going to substitute our earlier expressions that we derived here on the previous slides. So let's see what happens now. So first of all, we have these expressions for von Mises components, alternating component and mean component. There you go. And we know that inside we have the bending alternating component of bending stress and shear stress, and then we have alternating mean component of bending stress and shear stress. And for these we had already derived these expressions right at the start of this discussion. So if we substitute these four expressions into this equation, then whatever the result that we get, we substitute that result sigma a prime sigma m prime into this equation. So it will be a large expression, and when we manipulate everything to find out the diameter of the shaft, because inside in each of this expression we have d, this diameter. This is the diameter that we are after. This is what we want to calculate. So I take this diameter on the left hand side and shift everything to the right hand side. So this is the large expression that I get for the diameter of the shaft. So this expression has been derived using all these expressions that we read earlier. So here, if you try to understand this expression, it is not very difficult. So here you have this fatigue limit and ultimate tensile strength here, which you see likewise in the denominator here. So this SF we can actually say SF or SE depending upon the material. Then you have this factor of safety here which we had. Then we have alternating components of bending moment and torque. Then we have mean components of bending moment and torque. And since we had d cube here in all of the expressions, when we convert it into d, we have this cube root of the whole expression. So this can be derived. So what I suggest now is that you actually manipulate all these equations and reach this expression on your notebooks. You have all the expressions here. All you have to do is substitute and solve. You should take this sigma m axial equal to 0. We are assuming that there is no axial loading on the shaft. So this is your task right now, and I'll take the submission at the end of the class. Okay, so this is kind of the same decoding the expression that I explained earlier. So here we have all the alternating components. Here we have all the mean components. SF and SUT you know already. Then you have these factors KF, KFM, KFS, KFSM. These are four factors. So you see here, and I have explained earlier what these mean. So these two are bending fatigue stress concentration factors, and the other two are torsional fatigue stress concentration factors. And once we have done that, you have derived this expression, we will then move on to the exercise problems. So the all of the problems that we have to solve related to this topic are these two problems from chapter 10, Norton, and then they have several sub parts. Then we have to solve two examples from the book, and later on I will also provide you with a problem sheet which will have some different kind of numerical problems. So in my next video or next lecture, we will start solving some of these problems using the knowledge that we have recently acquired. So that is all for this video.